In this video, we explore Western ethic concept, subjectivism, cultural relativism, supernaturalism. What makes an action right or wrong? Why do different people and culture disagree about morality? Is morality created by human feeling, culture, tradition, or divine authority? These questions have shaped ethical philosophy for centuries. Among the many approaches to morality, three important theories stand out: subjectivism, cultural relativism, and supernaturalism. Each theory tried to explain the source of moral values and the basic of ethical judgment. Subjectivism teaches that morality depends on individual feeling and personal opinion. Cultural relativism argues that morality is determined by society and culture. Supernaturalism claims that moral values come from a divine or supernatural source such as God. These theories provide different answers to the same question: what makes something morally right or wrong? In this discussion, we will explore the meaning, features, strength, criticism, and ethical significance of subjectivism, cultural relativism, and supernaturalism. Subjectivism. Subjectivism is the ethical theory that moral judgments are based on individual feeling, emotion, attitudes, or personal opinion. According to this view, there are no objective moral truths that exist independently of human minds. When a person says stealing is wrong, subjectivism interpreted this statement as I personally dislike stealing or I feel stealing is wrong. Thus, morality becomes subjective, meaning dependent upon the individual subject. Main features of subjectivism. First, morality depends on personal feeling. Different individuals may have different moral beliefs because morality arises from personal attitudes and emotion. Second, no universal moral standard. There is no single moral law applicable to everyone. What is right for one person may not be right for another person. Third, emphasis on individual freedom. Every person has the freedom to decide moral values according to personal consciousness. Fourth, moral statement express emotion. Ethical judgment often express approval or disapproval rather than objective fact. Example of subjectivism. Suppose one person believes eating meat is morally wrong, while another believes it is acceptable. Subjectivism says both. Judgment reflects personal preference rather than universal truth. Similarly, one person may support capital punishment, another may oppose it. Both are expressing personal moral attitudes. Merits of subjectivism. First, respect individual differences. People have unique experience, belief, and emotion. Subjectivism recognizes this diversity. Second, encourage tolerance. If morality is personal, individuals should avoid forcing their moral belief on others. Third, promote freedom of thought. It protects moral independence and personal autonomy. Fourth, explain moral disagreement. Subjectivism helps explain why people often disagree on ethical issues. Criticism of subjectivism. First, no objective standard of morality. If morality is purely personal, then even cruelty or injustice could be justified by someone's feeling. Second, make moral debate meaningless. If every opinion is equally valid, meaningful moral discussion becomes impossible. Third, cannot condemn evil action universally. Acts such as genocide, slavery, or terrorism cannot be universally condemned under strict subjectivism. Fourth, confuse preference with morality. Personal like and dislike are not always reliable moral guides. Ethical importance of subjectivism. Despite criticism, subjectivism highlights the importance of personal consciousness and moral sincerity. It reminds us that ethical understanding often begins with human experience and emotion. Cultural relativism. Cultural relativism is the theory that morality is determined by culture or society. According to this view, moral values differ from one culture to another, and no culture morality is universally superior. An action considered morally right in one society may be considered wrong in another. Therefore, morality is relative to culture, tradition, custom, belief, and social practices. Main features of cultural relativism. First, morality varies across culture. Different societies develop different moral systems. Second, no universal ethical truth. There is no absolute moral standard applicable to all human beings. Third, culture shapes moral values. Individuals learn morality from family, religion, education, and social tradition. Fourth, emphasize on tolerance. Culture should be respected rather than judged according to foreign standards. Example of cultural relativism. In some culture, arranged marriage is considered morally acceptable. In other, individual choice in marriage is emphasized. Similarly, some societies practice vegetarianism for religious reasons. Others freely consume meat. Historical examples also show cultural variation. Ancient societies accept slavery. Modern societies condemn it. Thus, moral standards change across time and place. Merits of cultural relativism. First, promote respect for cultural diversity. It teaches people to understand different traditions without prejudice. Second, reduce ethnocentrism. It discourages judging other cultures solely by one's own standard. Third, encourage open mindedness. People become more willing to learn from different culture perspectives. Fourth, recognize social influence on morality. Cultures play a major role in shaping ethical belief and practices. Criticism of cultural relativism. First, cannot criticize harmful cultural practices. If culture alone determines morality, practice like discrimination or oppression cannot be condemned objectively. Second, moral reform become difficult. Social reform challenge cultural norms, but cultural relativism may label reformer as immoral because they oppose society. For example, reformer against slavery, advocates of women's rights, human rights activists. Third, no universal human right. Without universal morality, the idea of universal justice becomes weak. Fourth, cultural disagreement still exists. Even within the same culture, people disagree about morality. Ethical importance of cultural relativism. Cultural relativism reminds us that morality develops within social contexts. It encourages humility, intercultural understanding, and respect for diversity. At the same time, it raises important questions about universal justice and human rights. Supernaturalism. Supernaturalism is the ethical theory that morality originates from a supernatural or divine source. According to this view, moral laws are created or revealed by God, divine being, or sacred authority. What is morally right is what God commands, and what is wrong is what God forbids. This theory is closely connected with religion and divine commands ethics. Main features of supernaturalism. First, morality comes from God. Ethical principles are based on divine will or sacred teaching. Second, moral laws are absolute. Unlike changing human opinions, divine moral laws are eternal and universal. Third, religion guides ethical conduct. Sacred scripture, prophets, and spiritual tradition provide moral guidance. Fourth, human beings are morally accountable. People are responsible before a higher spiritual authority. Example of supernaturalism. Many religions provide moral commandments: truthfulness, compassion, non-violence, charity, respect for parents, justice. For example, in Christianity, morality is linked with God's commandments. In Islam, ethical life follows divine guidance from the Quran. In Hinduism, dharma reflects cosmic and spiritual order. In Buddhism, moral conduct is connected with spiritual liberation. Merits of supernaturalism. First, provide strong moral foundation. Divine authority gives morality, certainty, and seriousness. Second, encourage moral discipline. Religious ethics inspire duty, compassion, honesty, and self-control. Third, support universal morality. Supernaturalism often teach universal values such as love, justice, and kindness. Fourth, give spiritual meaning to ethics. Morality becomes connected with spiritual growth and ultimate purpose. Criticism of supernaturalism. First, different religions teach different moral values. Religion disagreement create confusion about which divine command is correct. Second, dependence on faith. Not everyone accepts supernatural belief as a basic for morality. Third, the euthyphro problem. A famous philosophical question asks, is something good because God commanded it, or does God command it because it is good? This creates a challenge for divine commands theory. Fourth, risks of blind obedience. People may follow religious authority without critical thinking. Ethical importance of supernaturalism. Supernaturalism has deeply influenced civilization, religious tradition, and moral system through history. It emphasizes spiritual responsibility, moral discipline, and sacred values of ethical life. In conclusion, subjectivism, cultural relativism, and supernaturalism represent three major approaches to understanding morality. Subjectivism emphasizes individual consciousness and personal emotion. Cultural relativism highlights the influence of society and tradition on moral values. Supernaturalism connects ethics with divine authority and spiritual truth. Each theory contributes valuable insight into ethical philosophy. Subjectivism teaches respect for personal freedom. Cultural relativism encourages tolerance and cultural understanding. Supernaturalism provides spiritual depth and moral discipline. At the same time, each theory also faces important criticism regarding truth, justice, and universal morality. The study of these theories help us understand the complexity of ethical life and encourage deeper reflection on the foundation of right and wrong. If you are still watching, I hope you are finding this content useful. Please like and share this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thought in the comment. Your support motivates me to create even more content like this.